Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Animal Welfare Group Nigeria webinar series. I will be the host for today's meeting. I am Iyasiri Oluwaseun Sarah. I am a senior lecturer at the Department of Animal Physiology, Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria, and I'm also a George Foster Research Fellow at the Humboldt University in Berlin. I am the coordinator of the Animal Welfare Group Nigeria, and the mission of the Animal Welfare Group Nigeria is to increase awareness in animal behavior and welfare, to foster international collaboration among researchers studying animal behavior and welfare, and finally, to educate stakeholders in the animal food chain about the importance of animal welfare. I want to welcome every one of you to today's meeting, and I hope you find it exciting and full of knowledge. Will be Oyebanji Victor. He will be moderating the meeting, and our guest speaker is Dr. Oyebanji Funmilola. She will be presenting on animal welfare, human health, and the environment. I will hand over to the moderator to continue with the program. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a lovely time with us today. Victor.
Good day, everyone. A warm welcome to everyone to another Animal Welfare Group webinar. I am Victor Oyebanji. It's a great privilege to moderate this section. Now, as we begin, let me remind us to turn off our cameras and also mute our microphone to avoid disturbances. This meeting is being recorded. If you have any message or questions, we are free to drop them in the chat box. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Oyebanji Funmilola Felicia. Dr. Funmilola Felicia Oyebanji obtained her first and second degrees from Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria, and a PhD from Pan-African University of Life and Health Science Institute. She's a specialist in environment and public health, a lecturer in the Department of Environmental Management and Toxicology, FUNAB, where she introduces environmental science to students, air and water quality analysis, occupational health, safety and environment, waste management, health, safety and environment, community health, environmental impact assessment, and public pollution studies. Dr. Oyebanji belongs to several professional bodies, both at international and local levels, such as Society for International Federation for Environmental Health, African Academy of Environmental Health, American Society for Microbiology, Society for Applied Microbiology, Nigerian Bioinformatics and Genomes Network, and the Vice President of Environmental Health Scientists Association of Nigeria. She has 22 journal articles and 3 conference proceedings to accredit. Her research interest is in environment and occupational health, exposure risk assessment, air and water microbiology, antibiotic resistance of bioaerosols, and One Health. Dr. Oyebanji has won several fellowship and research grants, such as Lagos State Research Grant, Pan-African University, National Research Fund, and International-Based Research, FUNAB. Join me in welcoming Dr. Oyebanji as she gives a talk on animal welfare, human health, and the environment. Over to you, Dr. Oyebanji.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you, Dr. Iyasiri. Good afternoon, everyone. I am delighted to be here this afternoon to present a short talk. Just like it has been introduced, I'm going to be talking on animal welfare, human health, and the environment. I know that I'm going to be talking to people who already have good knowledge of animal welfare, but however, I need to have a base for whatever I'm going to be talking about so that we can link it up at the end of the day. So animal welfare means how an animal is coping with the conditions in which it lives. Now we are talking about the housing environment. We are talking about how healthy the place is, the comfortability, how the animal is being nourished, how safe is the place, how the animal is able to express innate behavior. And if the animal is not suffering from unpleasant states, such as pain, fear, distress, and other welfare issues that have already been discussed. Animal welfare can also be referred to state of the animal, the treatment that an animal receives and is also covered by other terms such as animal care, animal husbandry, humane treatment, including proper housing management, nutrition, housing, disease prevention, treatment, responsible care, and humane handling. Now, somebody can look at it and say, what is the difference between animal health and animal welfare? They are contemporary, they are close, but they are not synonymous. Animal health is still under animal welfare. Health, we talk about the state of well-being of an animal. And if that is covered, then it will still come under animal welfare. So without good health, there is nothing that we can talk about when it comes to welfare. And just like I mentioned earlier, these factors, they are factors of good animal welfare. Talk about disease prevention, and disease prevention is dependent on the condition of their housing, the food they eat, the quality of the food, the quantity of the food, how safe the water they drink is, how they are being handled, how their waste is managed, and other factors that are related to their environmental condition. Now, the next concept is human health. According to World Health Organization of 1948, human health is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not necessarily the absence of disease or infirmity. Now, there has been a lot of talks on how acceptable this definition is, because when you talk about complete states, it means that somebody can be physically healthy and not be healthy. You can see that somebody looks okay physically and not be healthy, because it says complete state of physical, mental, and social. So if the relationship between two people, how a person relates with others is not fine, then we can say the person is not healthy. So human health can be termed as the health of humans, as we know that humans form just a small part of mammals. Even animals are there. So we can also link the definition of health even to animal. It means that when you see an animal, the fact that you are looking at the animal to be physically okay does not mean the animal is perfectly okay. We have many factors that are related to health, just like I mentioned in the definition: the physical, the mental, the social, the environment. If you look at this picture here, even education is part of things that will determine the health of human. Age, there are individual factors, there are genetic factors, there are behavioral factors, and the most important one that we are looking at is the environmental factors, as we move on to bring them and bring a line that will join, a link that will join animal welfare, human health, and the environment together. Now to the environment. We say environment. It is basically the aggregate of things that surround a living thing. Now, I'm saying a living thing because I don't want to make it look as if it is only human that can be affected by the environment. Animals can also be affected. So everything that affects an organism during its lifetime, as I'm seated, the chair I'm sitting on is part of my environment. It includes biotic and abiotic factors in the surroundings of a living thing. And also, man cannot exist in isolation, and also animal cannot exist in isolation. So there must be interaction between the animal and the environment. Now, let me quickly say this. when we are talking about the environment in an animal enterprise, human will form part of the environment of an animal, while animal will form part of the environment of human. So there is interaction in a farm where we have animal handlers. The animal handlers are part of the environment of the animal, while the animals are part of the environment of the human handlers. Now, to the one that is likely being the nexus across this concept is environmental health. Environmental health is a branch of public health, and it is concerned with all built environment and natural environmental aspects which may affect human health. Now, human health is here because that is the definition. However, because we are talking about animal welfare and human health, so wherever you see human, we can also put animal health, because when we talk about environmental health, we can say it's also a branch of public health, which is concerned with all built environment and natural environment aspect which may affect animal health. I hope that concept is clear. There are some components of environmental health. We have the water supply. Just like I said earlier, when you feed your animals with water, what is the quality of that water? So the water that the animal is drinking is part of the environment that the animal is interacting with. The air that the animal is inhaling or the human are inhaling is part of the environment. Noise pollution. We have, yes, many researchers have told us that when noise exceeds a particular decibel, it affects the hearing of humans. But in animal enterprise, I've not heard so much of that. Healthful housing. Majority of the researchers in animal welfare have been talking about their housing, how they are being caged, how they are being packed together, how they are being allowed to go for ranging, other things. The safety of the food, the plants that are caught, the grass that is caught for feeding the animal, what is the quality? Waste management, they generate waste, they pass feces, they have dunks. How often is all these dunks packed? When it is packed, how are they disposed? Are they disposed to go back to the environment where grasses will be cut also and brought back to the animal for feeding? Do we ever look at the pollution level, the contamination, even in those plants, the grasses that is being cut before they are being fed to the animal? Vector control. We have some vectors that can even pick up pathogenic organism from humans, from handlers, and bring it to the animal. Then some can even take pathogenic organism from animal to man. Now, just like I said, there are some environmental components that can affect public health, animal health, human health. For me, as a researcher, I've worked on air quality as an aspect where I've been able to consider what is going on in agricultural enterprise, like a farm settlement. In 2016, I carried out a research. I'm going to discuss about that research. Now, food animals are reared in the environment that can contain a large number of area pollutants. Now, when we talk about air quality, we are talking about both the indoor and the outdoor. It can also be the indoor environment of the animal or indoor environment of the animal handlers. Mind you, whatever it is in the indoor environment of the animal handlers, there is possibility that those things can be introduced into the animal houses because there is interaction. The animal handlers goes into their homes, sleep overnight, come back, and that is why it is important to measure even the air quality in the indoor environment of animal handlers. More than 500 different gases and volatile organic compounds have been identified, especially in swine buildings, according to Ni et al. 2012. The major known gases include ammonia, hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, the silo gases, methane, nitrous oxide, and other pollutants, including dust. When feed is being given to the animal, there is tendency of raising dust because of the feed of the animals. All these feed, they contain many volatile organic compounds, bacteria, endotoxins that when not monitored, we will not even know what the animals are inhaling and what the humans that form the group of animal handlers are also inhaling. However, when they are in high concentration, some of the pollutants, they have the capacity to threaten the health of animals and cause the animals to experience distress, discomfort, suffering, and many deteriorating their welfare. So, but majority of these pollutants, they are in low concentration because we believe that as environmentalists, we believe that the fact that you are monitoring air quality and is giving you a low reading does not mean that it will not have effect. Yes, it might not have acute effect that is immediate. It might have a chronic effect that is long-term, that if it is not curbed, it can cause far more damaging effects than one can imagine. So in 2019, I published this paper that when I monitored the ambient levels of gaseous, particulate, and bioaerosol pollutants in farm settlements across Ogun State, southwest Nigeria. Ogun State has about 7 farm settlements where settlers are allowed to stay. They have their residencies there, and they are allowed to carry out farming activities. So these farm settlements, they have some of the settlers, they have animals, they rear animals, while some of them, they do crop farming. Now they are both on the same land. Some people are planting, some people are rearing animals, while some people are doing both. So this work, I did it to check the outdoor concentration of criteria air pollutants. Criteria air pollutants are pollutants that have already been identified by United States Environmental Protection Agency to say that these pollutants, they are important for the climate and the health. When we say global warming, those are the air pollutants that are referred to as, maybe some of them are greenhouse gases, some of them are important mixtures that when they mix with atmospheric chemicals, they form other compounds that will have negative impact on human and even on the environmental system, the climate system. Now, this study assessed the levels of air pollutants emitted outdoor or farm settlements. Now, we expect, according to the literature, we know that from animal production, there are emissions of air pollutants. And even from human activities, there are emissions of air pollutants. Now, these emissions will come together to form the mixtures in the ambient, in the outdoor. Now, you know that animal houses are there, human houses are there. Now, whatever it is in the outdoor is what the animals will inhale into their system. So we monitor the concentration of volatile organic compounds, SO2, NO2, CO, ozone, ammonia, carbon dioxide, total suspended particulate matter, and particulate matter of 2.5 and 10 micron. 2.5 is the aerodynamic, is the measurement of the particle. And the one that is of importance is that 2.5 because it can escape through the follicles in the air, in the nose rather. It can escape through the air. It's supposed to be sieved. The particulate matter of 10 micron normally is sieved, but that of 2.5 escapes through the follicles and goes straight into the lungs. And when there is an obstruction in the movement of air in and out of the lungs, there is problem. That is when people start developing respiratory problems. Now, also, we monitor bacteria and fungi, the concentration, bacteria and fungi, the number of colonies outside using settle plate techniques. This is to tell us that whatever we find in the outdoor environment is the product of what is coming from agricultural activities, not just animal production, but also crop farming and even human activities. Now, when we did that study, we realized that the mean ranges of volatile organic compounds, CO, CO2, they are above the threshold limits. And if it is not safe for human, it is equally not safe for man. Even for bacteria and fungi, we have hundreds of bacteria and fungi, some of them pathogenic, some of them non-pathogenic. And during the study, we realized that seasonal and spatial temporal differences were observed across the pollutants that were monitored. Now, there are some peculiarities with each of those farm settlements that were observed. In Ibiade is in the water side, Ogun water side in Ogun State. And this place is close to the coastal area. And so because of that, there is high humidity, and that makes it we have more proliferation of fungi. And fungi, they are not treated with antibiotics. They are not treated with antibiotics. So when humans are experiencing fungi production, fungi problems in their household, then we can imagine what the animals will be experiencing if we have such concentration of fungi in the outdoor environment. Also, in Ibiade, they are having palm oil production. Now, palm oil production requires boiling, digesting, and production of volatile organic compounds. And this is also a problem for the respiratory system of humans. So I imagine that if it has been established that in humans it causes problem, then we know that definitely it will be affecting the animal. But maybe I should say that I have not seen any study to buttress the fact that probably is affecting animals or not. In Ikene is a very small farm settlement, but is highly congested. I don't know the reason, probably because it's close to town than other farm settlements. So many poultry activities taking place in Ikene, no water supply. They have just one borehole, and because of this congestion, we have large concentration of total suspended particulate. When we say suspended, that means it's not settling. It's in the ambience. It's in the breathing zone. People can breathe in it, breathe the concentration in, and even animals can breathe it in. Then we have high ammonia concentration because of the large production of waste from poultry activities. Unfortunately, when this waste production is done, we just sometimes just pack it and just dump it somewhere. And humans, so far it is far from humans. Sometimes it is dumped right beside the poultry building, right beside the poultry building. Problems of ammonia, when it's mixed with other gases, it reacts with moisture to form simple corrosive solution called ammonium, and this can damage birds. And we know that poultry, they are part of birds and even humans by corroding the respiratory tract of chicken, thereby paralyzing or even destroying the epithelial cells. Let me quickly say this. I've noticed that most people that have been working, we try to simulate pollution scenarios, and we look at, okay, what's the behavior of animal if something like this happen, if this, let's do environmental enrichment and look at how the animals will behave. I've not really seen, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've not really seen much work that is looking at exactly in a pollution scenario, when there is a pollution and it has been measured that there is a pollution, how are the animals behaving? How is it affecting their welfare? I'm looking forward to maybe collaborating with somebody to do this kind of work in a real-time scenario where there is pollution, and we'll be able to monitor. While I'm monitoring the environmental pollutants, looking at the levels and concentration, person will also look at how the animals are responding or reacting to these negative environmental scenarios. like I said, high bacterial load in Ikenne and Ikenne, Agowoye, and Ajegunle. They have very large and extensive animal husbandry activities. And according to literature, that has increased the bacterial concentration and fungal reduced in outdoor than the indoor environment. Now, the global health body from air pollution have said that rural populace where agriculture is predominant, they have said that it is air pollution that is causing the majority of global health burdens. And this is where animal production, crop farming, this is where we have large concentration of such activities. Now, when we call, like I've said, considering the particulate matter concentration is only Ikenne because of the extent of poultry activities. And we were able to discover relationship among the particulate matter. When you have IPM 2.5, you have IPM 10, the total suspended the particulate matter. Then you also have high bacteria, high fungi, because when a particulate matter is handled, it has physical components, chemical components, and biological components. So although we didn't go to the level of looking at the various components of the particulate matter that were collected. Now, that study concluded that the environmental conditions of settlers' residences is poor, and there are structural defects, unhygienic conditions, and is already affecting air quality. Now, that study also concluded that there is outdoor infiltration of pollutants, and predominantly from ground tilling, pesticide application, storage of animal feeds, like I said, and processing of farm produce, because some of those locations, they also have their milling sites, even on site. They mill, they produce, and that's increased the concentration of particulate matter in the ambient environment. The identified bacteria and fungi are majorly from agricultural origin, but their growth and activities are aided by the presence of some contributory factors. Like I told you, some human activities going on around the farm settlements. Some of the settlements are close to the main road. Some of them are far from the main road. Some of them, they have palm oil production, and the generation of smoke where there are animal houses, that is a lot of problem. So, and we also did the risk assessment, and we're able to establish that there is a problem with the air quality. So even we tested the animal handlers, and we discovered that their lung function has already reduced. The rate at which their lungs are functioning, it has reduced. The forced expiratory flow rate and the other factors, peak expiratory flow rate, they have reduced from what is supposed to be. Probably they might not open up. It might not just be because they are handling animals. Maybe there are other activities they are involved in. However, we're only able to rule out that they were not smokers. That was the major thing. Now, about 2 years ago, a year ago, Dr. Yasere sent me this paper, and I read through it. It reviewed the advancements in scientific research on food animal. Now, this is a paper that talked about air quality, air pollution in animal houses. Now, if we look at the table, we could see that nothing on Africa. I try to look at it because most times, just like I said, we simulate. I believe that this is a pointer to us that we need to look at the exact scenario, what is going on, where there is pollution already, or where pollution is already happening, where we have animal facilities, enterprises. Then we will be able to also join the league of these people that have been able to establish the effect of pollution on animal welfare or animal behavior. Now, these are pictures showing the houses of the farmers. You can see, definitely a farmer that is sleeping in this kind of house will definitely go inside the animal houses with lots of bacteria or fungi or particles that will not be good, that will deteriorate or affect the health of animals. Although at that time I wanted to take the pictures of the animal houses that I saw that they already have structural defects, but you know, people are scared, they are skeptical. I was not allowed to do that. And since that was not the major thing I actually went there to do, I had to let it go. Now, this is a Ibiade. Look at the smoking. This is a palm oil production facility. You can see the smoke plume. At the back of this banana plantation, we have one animal house. So imagine this kind of smoke entering into animal house. Definitely, it means that the animals are already inhaling poor air that will affect their health. But sometimes people just look at, oh, one animal died, oh, we have mass loss, 20 birds died. Most times we don't try to carry out investigation on what exactly caused the death of this animal. And that is a pointer, that is going to be an advancement. If we have farms where they are experiencing high mortality rate, maybe it can be investigated. Probably it is environmental. Probably it is from the water they are drinking. Most times, humans, we don't want to drink dirty water. We want to be sure of the quality of the water we are drinking. But I want to ask us, how many of us actually will go out of our play of our zone to say, okay, let me do water quality testing for this water I'm going to feed my animals with? That is part of animal health and animal welfare. And that will form part of one health, because the health of an animal is dependent on how it is being handled, and it is dependent on the environment where it is being reared. So these are some of the plates showing the fungi that were isolated from the outdoor air. You can see different colors. We did the genomic study, but it's not in this paper I'm talking about. So these are some of the references. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. In fact, this is an eye-opening and insightful presentation. And I'm so glad that we have you as somebody that is pioneering this kind of research area in Nigeria. I love the pictures that you showed. And in fact, it got me thinking that how come the farmers are living in such an environment. And when you show the picture of the oil palm processing plant with the fumes and everything, it made me also remember that there are times when those that even house their animals tend to dump their refuse just close by to the housing system and also burn. And this smoke, yes, of course, gets into the housing system, and the animals, of course, inhale such kind of poor air and polluted air. Thank you so much. I don't know if the moderator is available, but I would like to take, we have loads of questions for you in the chat box. It's quite an interesting presentation, and I don't want to forget this. Probably I would like to invite you to make something similar, or if you have other results at the forthcoming ISA Africa and West Asia regional meeting. So let people understand the environment of the Nigerian setting, what we really have, and the implications, so that this can also trigger investigation in different areas. And
thank you very much.
Since we have a whole lot of international people represented in this meeting. Actually, what she has presented is a representative of what happens in our country, of course, and we'll be happy for collaboration in this area so that we'll be able to do a lot of research and see how the implication, because for any rules or policy to be made, having evidence from the scientific angle will help us to be able to push it to the policymakers and to the government, and this can also help to make a big change in animal welfare in Nigeria. So please feel free to collaborate with us. So let me go to the questions now. I don't know if our moderator is there, but I'll just go on. What is the difference, Dr. Samuel Duroshara is asking, what is the difference between built environment and natural environment?
Okay, when we talk about natural environment, it is environment that is not yet disturbed, not yet disturbed. It is in the natural state. When you start putting a structure somewhere and you start adding to the nature, then it has become built environment. I don't know if I've answered that question.
But do we really have a natural environment? If you say it is something that has not been disturbed, do we still have any natural environment then?
Probably, we might still have, probably.
Okay, let me go on. Okay, can you please talk more on how education affects human health? Yes.
Okay, thank you. When we talk about education affecting human health, whatever you are going to do is based on your knowledge. If you want to eat, let me take diet, for instance. If you don't know that taking too much sugar might affect your health, you might just continue to take it. And education does not mean that you have gone to school. When you say, oh, I'm educated, it does not mean that, oh, you can just have a knowledge of something, you are educated in that aspect. We have many of our parents that are educated and they didn't go to school. They know how to use herbs to cure this and to cure that. So when you have the knowledge of what can affect you either positively or negatively, and it's shaping your behavior, your individual attitude towards, for instance, hand washing. If you don't know, I did a study recently, I'm still working on it. I did a study recently where I realized that animal handlers, they just have this lackadaisical attitude that I've been handling animal. I can just go and handle animal and go back to my food. And I realized that there are so many microorganisms that is being transmitted from animal to man and from man to animal, which are antibiotic resistant. I think I have answered that question.
Thank you. I would like to take one more before I hand over to the moderator, and that is, to what extent do you think Nigerians are aware about One Health, and do you have any plan as to increase awareness in this area?
The extent of awareness on One Health in Nigeria, I feel is growing, although to me, I think it's still low. And the reason is, I feel that there is a particular profession that believes that they are the owner of One Health. If you look at the concepts of environmental health that I showed earlier, you see that you cannot talk about about One Health without talking about environmental health. If you go on the internet, look at people that are in One Health, most of them are veterinary doctors. So oftentimes, when you want to break into that field, you are kind of limited because the people that have been established in One Health, they are animal scientists and veterinarians. And these people believe that they are the owners of One Health, neglecting the environment aspect of it, which is germane. Now, my plan is to look for collaborators. I've been trying to work more, have researches, have good publications, because you cannot sell yourself without your publication. That is what we speak for you when you are not there. So if I can have good publications, then I'll be able to project myself and make them understand that environmentalists are they are a core people that must be involved in One Health. That is my future plan. Hopefully, I'll get collaborations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for answering that great question. Now we continue with the questions available in the chat box. So I have a question here. During feeding, how can we avoid dust on animals?
Okay, avoiding dust, it depends on where you want to avoid it. Is it in the indoor environment or outdoor? Now, if it is in the outdoor environment, then we recommend wetting. We wet, and even in the indoor environment, you wet. Then you desist from activities that raise dust. If you see our children, sometimes when they are playing outside, some forms of activity, they raise dust. When we reduce the activities that raises dust, then we can reduce it. Then if need be, if it is compulsory that we have to do damage control, then when we have dust, we should wet. Then it will allow the suspended ones to settle.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. We still have more questions loaded here. Now, what is the implication of dirty environment, poor waste disposal on stray animals?
On what?
Stray animals, stray animals.
Stray animals that are not being housed, unconfined.
Yes.
Okay, now, when we have waste, we know animals, they are always scavenging for food. So definitely when we have waste scattered, not even when it is packed, they use I have dogs in my house. Whenever you let them loose, they go to the waste bin, they tear the nylon and they scatter everything, pick whatever they can pick. So the implication is that they will create an unaesthetic environment. What does that mean? They will defile the beauty of wherever. Imagine you have packed your waste covered and the animals have come, they have opened it, scatter everything. So that would destroy the aesthetic view of that environment. Also, they will release pollutants because maybe some things have already started building gases. When they open the nylon, they release it into the environment. Then they themselves, they feed on some of the dead or bad debris and that will affect their health. They might start stooling. You might have to call a vet doctor, or okay, that is if you are housing the animal. But for the animals that are straying, when they feed on that, they go elsewhere, maybe pick organisms, go elsewhere, go and drop it somewhere.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. In relation to that, there's another question here that says, what is the implication of crude oil spillage, pollution from cement factory on animal welfare?
Thank you very much. Crude oil spillage often affects surface water because it will spill to nearby surface water. Some of them will get percolated into the underground water system. And the fallout is that it's going to pollute the water system. Then cement production will also release obnoxious gases that will affect humans. Now, most times in toxicology, when you want to look at the effect of a particular pollutant on human, you use animal. Now, if it affects animals, it will affect human. So I always say that it should be vice versa. So if it affects human, then it can affect animal. So if, depending on the type of pollution, if it is air pollution, if it pollutes air, we know what brings in air into the body system is the respiratory system. So it will affect the respiratory system, and it can also affect respiratory system of animal. If it affects water, if humans drink the water, it will affect the digestive system. There might be stooling, some vomiting, nausea, not feeling like eating, and such can also happen to animals. So anything that introduces pollution into the environment, air environment, water environment, land environment, and can affect human, can also affect animal. And the implication is it's going to impair their health.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now, on your research study, there's a question here. Did you find any beneficial bacteria in the farm settlements?
Beneficial bacteria.
Bacteria.
Well, some the bacteria that we found, the focus mostly is on the ones that will be harmful. So we were not too much keen on the beneficial. We're looking at the negative, the implication of this activity. So I can say that we didn't focus on that. We're only focused on, can we find pathogenic bacteria? And that was what was reported.
Okay, thank you for that great answer. Now I have another question here that states, most of the wastes in livestock house are high in nitrogen content. Can this nitrogen be converted to inorganic form to be used to produce urea-based fertilizer for our crop farmers?
Well, I'm not in waste to wealth. We have some professionals that are in waste to wealth. I've not done any study on converting animal waste in usable forms for maybe planting, fertilizing, and manuring. I've not done that.
Okay, thank you for that great answer, ma'am. I have another question here that says, thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. What do you think can be done to reduce the air quality problem, especially in Nigeria, where open-sided housing system is mostly used?
Where
open-sided housing system is mostly used.
Open-sided housing system, I don't understand what that is. Is it for animals?
I think that should for air quality system, especially in let's say the housing system majorly used in Nigeria.
Well, the problem of air pollution in Nigeria is diverse. In fact, air pollutants come from different sources: agriculture, industrial activities, burning, cooking, generating sets. So if you want to curb the problem of air pollution, then you have to answer to each of those sources. Now, if you talk about, okay, from generating sets, then we should have electricity being generated. If you want to talk about from cooking, then we should use clean fuel. And everybody is saying, okay, using cooking gas is cleaner than using charcoal or using firewood. But with the high rate of sale of the price in the sale of cooking gas per kg, I don't know, it has gone up. So many people are even going back to the dirty fuel, sawdust, and what have you. So it is the problem of air pollution is wide, and individuals can just try in their own way not to pollute. If you have a generator, make sure it is going through a complete combustion. It is not generating smoke. If you can do that, if we can take it one step after the other, then we can begin to curb it like that.
Thank you very much. Lovely presentation. Thank you so much. You have provided a great insight into the effects of environment on animal welfare in Nigeria, much of which is transferable across the globe. I would love to see your work added to a global collection of data in this area. I think this would benefit the animals in this area and environment in Nigeria, but also benefits the countries involved in the potential work. It's a great topic. That's from Jesrendi. Now, another question here for you, Ma, is did you How do we control this type of air pollution and smoke affecting animals in the type of farm animals you showed? Now, from your presentation, you showed us the housing system and then the pollution encountered there. Now, the question is, how do we control this type of air pollution and smoke affecting the animals on this type of farm?
Well, it is siting. It is the solution will be siting. Now, this area have been carved out for farming, purely farming, and that's why it is named farm settlement. So the people that are there will always continue to do their farming activities, be it animal husbandry or crop farming. Now, what can be done is to relocate either of them so that probably the animal house will be relocated so that by the time the plume travels, it would have been dissolved and mixed and mixed and mixed before it gets to where the animals are. Or maybe we have farm settlements, each for animal husbandry, and let crop farming and other animal produce production is being done separated. But doing the two on the same site, definitely, like the evidence we have seen, is not going to work.
Thank you very much, Ma. Now, for that same study, did you notice any biodiversity changes as a result of the pollution?
Biodiversity changes. I
Yes.
didn't work on biodiversity. That looking at the plants, the plants that are there, I didn't do the work. Didn't get to that level.
Now, you did isolation of some bacteria and fungi from the environment.
Yes.
Environmental, yeah. Now, could you please mention some of or types of the methods you employ in isolating those organisms?
Okay. Initially, what we did was open plate technique. So we go to the outdoor environment. We expose the plates, the petri dishes that have already been where we have already put our nutrient agar that will on which will grow the bacteria and the fungi. We expose for some minutes, then we take it to the lab for it to grow. Then after that, we did a cleaning to have pure culture of selected distinct isolates. And from there, we moved to DNA extraction. We used the FTA cards, we extracted, then it was taken to Stab Vida in Portugal, where the sequencing and the molecular work was done, and sequence was sent to us.
Thank you for that great answer. How do we intend to take these results from your findings back to farmers or dwellers for a better life? How can we enlighten farmers more on this topic?
Okay, before I was given access to each of those farm settlements, I had to go to Ogun State Agricultural Department, and I was issued a letter, and I was asked to sign a commitment that I'm going to drop a copy of the write-up at the end of the day, because this project is part of my PhD work. So after the program, I dropped with them. Sincerely, I've not gone back to each of, although I'm in touch with the farm managers, but I've not gone back to educate them. Maybe with the help of extension officers. But you know, when you actually want to go and meet these people, they always believe you have brought something for them. And that is an aspect that everyone is always skeptical about, going to meet the farmers. What have you brought for us and all those things. So, but since this is also an enlightenment, if I can get an extension officer that have relationship or rapport with them, then we can hold an enlightenment program. Because even before I was able to get their lung function, it was a big challenge. I had to assemble them, bring them together to address them, explain to them what we want to do and the likes. But sincerely, I've not gone back to discuss with them. I only submitted the report as requested.
Thank you very much, Ma. I think I have another question that just dropped. How practical do you think we can detect air quality pollution in our poultry houses?
We can. We have active air quality samplers. Active. It will give you what is happening at that time. It will give you. When you enter into the animal house, you just switch it on. If it is volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, ammonia, whatever, you have active air samplers. You just switch it on, it will give you the reading, you record it. You can do it. In fact, one can, if we have gotten to that level in Nigeria, it's something that should be monitored hourly so that at any point when you see an upward movement in the value recorded, then you know that, oh, there's a problem. Then you can immediately attend to the problem so that the animal health will not be compromised.
Okay, ma, for this sampler already available, are they for us in Nigeria?
Well, we have some people that already have them, they give them out on rentage. But we can, it's something not too, is expensive, but not too expensive. It can be purchased, it can be imported.
Okay, thank you very much, ma. I have a question here. Animal traction is very common in the northern part of Nigeria, especially the northeast. Yet there is no active body advocating for its stoppage. My question is, how rich nutrients of these animals? How rich? I'm trying to get a question paraphrased.
I think what he's trying to say is that animals used for work, there is need for more advocacy against that. And also these animals that are being used to do a lot of farm work, what is the value of their meat when they are being slaughtered at the end of the day? That's what he's trying to ask.
Okay, well, I'm not into food quality and stuff like that. Mine is exposure assessment, monitoring, health risk assessment, and One Health. I think the people in food quality will be able to tell us. And there was a presentation where this kind of question was asked. I think it was the last one. The lady from Calgary, I think it was asked, okay, that all these activities, does it affect the meat quality or something? So I'm not a specialist in that.
Thank you so much for answering our question. I think we'll not be able to take any more questions for now. So thank you for the wonderful presentation and answering all our many questions. Over to our host of today, Dr. Mrs. Oluwaseun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oyebanji Funmilola, for this insightful presentation. And you can see that the participants really enjoyed it with the loads of questions that they dropped in the chat box. Please, I want the participants, you can please turn on your videos. If you have any other comments aside what we have talked about, you can indicate by raising up your hand, using the button, raising up your hand to give your comments. And I want to address something. Hazan talked about advocating against animal traction. You see, I want to believe that all of us here, we are all animal welfare advocates wherever we are. If you are in the north, in the south, or wherever you are in the country, you can start something. It may be very small, maybe few people, you gather them together and talk to them. And if you are able to bring them together, you can let us know what you are doing, and the animal welfare group can, try to support you. Of course, we have no money. This is we don't charge money for anything, but we can support you in terms of bringing people that can help, support your campaign and make the message, pass the message across to the audience. So we are all advocates wherever we are. If you have access to farmers that are using these animals for farm work and you think you want to address them and you don't know how to go about it, you can let us know and we can see how we can help you. And that is why I also supported us in buying that book that talked about what is it? The perception of animal welfare strategies that we can use in our different communities, because we all are located in different places and we have communities. Even in the church, you can, ask the pastor, can I talk about this? Or in the mosque, there are the different areas or different angles by which we can, advocate and talk about all these issues. Yeah, the question is, not really a question, but I want to pose it to Dr. Oyebanji. You said getting the results back to the farmers, of course, we understand the way it works. They might be wondering, what do you have? Do you have any gift or something to give back to them? But it also dropped in my mind that there could be the possibility of you, since you did that as your PhD work and you had an agreement with maybe the body who told you to drop the ministry. Is it also possible for you to work with the ministry and also link up with things like medical health facilities? You may not give the farmers money now, but since you took some samples from the farmers and probably you were able to discover some pathogens or infection that they were exposed to while working with this animal, is there the possibility that some healthcare facilities can also collaborate in this and just give them maybe some treatment? It could be in form of antibiotics or whatever, and what they need, because the health of the handlers is also very important. I'm just trying to suggest that. We have two people raising up their hands. Professor Okolade, please, you have the floor. Professor Okolade, please unmute. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to ask a question concerning animal traction. My worry based on the comment is that, is it really an abuse of animal or anti-welfare when we use a animal as a work animal or traction in the farm? I'm raising that question in the sense that apart from traction, there are other animals that are used for other activities. Do we now say it's anti-welfare? Because my understanding is only when you don't properly handle or care for animal that welfare becomes an issue. But for traction, if used appropriately, maybe within a time frame, the quantum of work done, I don't really see, because this has become a cultural tenet that people are using. And it's not only in Nigeria that animal traction is used, it's cut across globally, even in developed world. So that's where I want us, I need further enlightenment on that, because I don't really see that as being as not taking care of the animal for using them as traction. That's just the comment I have, ma.
Okay, thank you so much. You've just opened up another area of discussion. And of course, we know that the use of animals for farm work is not specific only to Nigeria. But what I can say is, at the moment, it may be a bit difficult for us to say, no, you can't use animals. But there are some things that we also need to know. Because if there are no rules guarding it, then of course it will lead to abuse and anti-welfare issues. For instance, these animals that are used, I think we also need to consider the age of the animal. There are a lot of things that need to go into it. Do they use matured animals or do they use young ones? And the quantity of load with respect to the capacity that the animal can actually carry that wouldn't cause any pain or cause severe injury. We also need to look at the way in which these attachments, they need to attach some things on the animal to pull. Is it attached properly that it doesn't lead to any form of injury or wound on the animal? And is the animal actually fed to, you have to feed? the animal properly for you to be able to do the work? And also, what time of the day are you using the animal? These are a whole lot of things that we may need to consider as well, despite the fact that we may not be able to outrightly say no at the moment, but we also need to be able to talk about factors that really that really could impair the welfare of the animals. I hope I've been able to say a few things about it. Shogebi, I don't know, is it Dr. Shogebi? Please unmute from your end. If there's anybody that wants to contribute to this discussion on animal traction, you can please. We are all here to learn, and we'll just have a few minutes, then we wrap up the session. If Shogebi, are you there, please?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please, you can talk now.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I must say that was a very beautiful presentation by our presenter. She said something, and I just said maybe I could just give her a hint on how to handle the farmers asking for something whenever she visits. If you want to continue doing your work and enjoy doing what you want to do, you have to map out something for them. I think it's a norm in this part of the world. If you're not going to give them something and you're going to get discouraged and stop working, you probably won't get anywhere with it. But like somebody said, it's not like every time, it's not anything heavy that you need. Pain relievers, you could just tell them the result, maybe it's the network. You should just, I said, you could go with antibiotic like somebody already told you. You could go with analgesic. You could go with the result, as per even the result of your experiment. If you go there and enlighten them, and I mean on a light mode, you tell them, you don't. It's not like you have so much, but even what you have is more than so much to them. If only they can keep to it, So you tell them the implication of what they are doing, the health implication of what you are doing. And you go there and you give them money or what. In fact, if you are able to convince them to do what you think they should do right, and they see the results, you will find out that they will be the one calling for you. And you won't have to go there and have to start begging them, what did you bring? Yeah, I understand how you feel. When you come and you are highly educated, yeah, that's the way they see you. And then you come to the village to see them, or you come to the farm settlement and you're just coming empty-handed. Let them realize that they have everything. You don't have everything. They have the vegetables, they have the proteins, they have the fresh atmospheric air and all of that, which you don't have in the city anyway. Things like that will make them happy and make them feel good, and then you can always continue doing your work. Yeah, that's about what I want to.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you so much. Yeah. Of course, you said something about incentives. Actually, it's not really a Nigerian issue. Even here, I've heard about people, even if you need farmers to attend to you, help you fill some survey or questionnaire, you still need to give them some coupon or something like that. I think it's just a general, ideology. It's not something that is specific to Nigeria. Professor Okola, did you still want to say something? Your hand is still up. Please, we have in the chat box, sir. We have in the chat box the link.
Yes.
Okay, you want to say something? Okay.
Yes, I want to speak on the aspect of reaching out to farmer, and that happens to be an area I'm well conversant with. And just as Dr. Shogebi said, it looks normal, but in reality, it's abnormal. And why it looks normal is that the level of poverty in the rural setting is so great that when they see somebody from the city, they believe that is there to give them their immediate need. But immediate need cannot be met all the time. I think in that regard, what needs to be done, what we normally do in that area, we pick a few of the enlightened farmers. And if we have positive outcome, that is why when we go to field, we don't take trials to farmers. It's like you are wasting their time. They don't understand that logic. And like Dr. Yasere said, I've also had the experience in UK. Farmers, what they want to see is, this is the real outcome. So we must be convinced of the outcome of our study. So we only select few people that we know will be influential and demonstrate to them and work with them over time. So it is those ones that now bring other farmers in. It's not a straight thing as I'm saying it. It is an Herculean task. We must face that reality. It's what I've experienced over the years. But we know that if we select the enlightened one and let them see the real outcome, whether in video, whether on field, and so on, and we are sure that they too will get it. So let the few set of people practicalize it, let them see the outcome. By the time the outcome is out, other farmers are able to see, and then they will be able to follow through. So we have different strategy by which we convince them. And that is why we all need to work together. So that's why we believe that there is concept we are taking about now, R2E, that is research to extension. So without extension, the impact of research cannot be felt in the field. And without research, extension is useless. Where do we go? What do we want to tell people? So we must work hand in hand, but we must be sure of the authenticity of our research. By then, we will definitely convince the farmer. So even if, like you said, in terms of survey, of course, even as part of a research procedure is included. You see it in textbook that you give something for people to respond when it comes to survey. But when it comes to actual research on ground that people will see, farmers are interested in reality. When we do that, we don't need to give, we only persuade them. And then when they see the results, of course, they key in. That's just the contribution.
In fact, this is a topic that can really take a whole day. And also, like I said, in the chat box, please go through it. I posted the link for the regional meeting that we'll be having, and the meeting will be in December the 1st and 2nd. But if you have students, or even if you have any research work that is pertaining to animal welfare in whatever area, like Dr. Oyebanji just presented, it's quite an interesting one. And we would love to have a whole lot of a diverse presentation at that meeting. So please, you have the link to submit an abstract. Actually, it's a meeting, it's not a conference. So whatever thing you are presenting, we are just there to encourage ourselves to share insights, to share research ideas. And if you don't have any research that you want to present, but you want to be part of the meeting, it's also there. The link to be part of the meeting is also there. It is free. It is free for everybody to attend. So we'll have Professor Okolade will be glad to have you at that meeting, because from your discussion, I can see that even if the farmers and even if the researchers are doing a whole lot of scientific study, getting the message across to the farmers who are really the ones handling the animal, we need to know how to do it, the best approach, and how to go about it. Please, we'll also like you to join that meeting. And with that, I want to say thank you to all the participants, Dr. Duresharo, Moses Gani, Umaru, Victor Yeniron, Joel Alabi, Sonny Rodriguez, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it properly, Muyiwa Fatola, Mohamed Nofisat, Philip Majolagbe, Zoom user, I don't know your name, Sharon, Bukola Majekodumi, Noveleta Pizza, Pizza Olufunke Shitu, Gideon, Ayesha, Olajumoke Promise, Komalafe Priscilla, Shogebi, Okola Dilawal, Aliyu, Muhammad Bashir, Hassan, Mustafa, who else? Yeah. Yetunde Oladokun, Adekayo Deshonibare, Adekule Shurunke. Thank you so much for joining from different parts of the country. We have people from Pakistan, from Brazil, from Germany, and from the UK. Thank you so much. And I hope you really got value from today's meeting. And I hope to see you in our next meeting. Our next meeting will be on the 2nd of November. And Dr. Ojela Deluwashun will be presenting on the effect of environmental enrichment on fish behavior and welfare. That promises to also be an interesting meeting. And with that, I say thank you so much for joining and see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye. Bye.